the Bafta winning East End Essex legend, Katie Jarvis Donna from Rise of the Footsoldier.
Eastenders just threw me in everyone's front room every single day of the week.
Is that girl again?
Like, here she is, old lad, man.
One of their favourite scenes was when you hit Craig Rolfe over the head with a plant pot.
That was my favourite bit of the film as well.
You got a slap on the wrist for obviously being Larry.
I've learned when to shut my mouth now. It just went from A to Z, and I ended up with a mother and 4 daughters jumping on me. And the police turned up as well, and I walked straight over to the old Bill and went, "Did you see that? That was 5 on 1." And he went, "We ain't got the resources to deal with it." Everyone going, "Eastenders girl, Eastenders girl." Obviously the videos and that have been shared don't help, but you don't see everything. And I'd won a couple. I won Best Newcomer, Trailblazer, Best Actress, Bafta. I won a bit of everything for that. No, I felt a bit like an imposter.
You feel like you snuck into Bafta and stole it.
My 17th birthday, they phoned me up to say, "You've got the part of Mia." And on my 18th birthday, I was meeting Sean Connery and I didn't even know who the man was. How disgraceful is that?
My Fair Lady from Romford.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Criminal Connection podcast, and this episode is proudly brought to you by Betovo. Before we get stuck into this week's episode, we're going to give a big shout out to our sponsors. Big thanks to our sponsor IME. This global tech outfit ain't messing about. They've got these slick video interviews that have you connecting like there's no tomorrow. Whether you're running a business, running the streets, or doing your own thing. Perfect for those in marketing, recruitment, admissions, and even for auditions. And their platform, smooth as silk, designed with you lot in mind. IME's the ticket to making those connections count. VIP Security Services have been established for 35 years. VIP Security offers a personal security service to escort you, your family and your friends, whether on business or out for the evening. Protect what's important to you. We're watching you while others are watching us. Prevention is always better than the cure. You're in safe hands. Security solutions across Essex, London and the home counties. I want to say a huge thanks to our sponsors, Fragrance du Bois. Now, for those of you that don't know about Fragrance du Bois, where have you been? It is one of the leading luxury fragrances, only available in Harrods, Selfridges and Neiman Marcus in New York. This brand is indulging in pure luxury. It's crafted from the rarest and finest ingredients. Each fragrance tells a story of timeless elegance, and that's why the Podfather wears it. The Podfather does have a personal favourite. It's called Oud Bleu Intense. So for anybody that likes Oud Parfum, that one for me is the one. But they've got so many different fragrances for men, for women. All of the fragrances are unisex, so make sure you get involved and sample the delights of Fragrance du Bois. Every time I film an episode of the Criminal Connection podcast, every guest I've had, I've always said the same thing. "Cool, Terry, that smells nice. What's that?" And I say, "It's Fragrance du Bois." And they go, "What's that?" And I give them a link, and I give them 10% off, and they buy a bottle. So make sure you get involved. For all the Criminal Connection podcast crew, we've got a special discount for you. 10% off. All you need to do when you click on the link below and choose your luxury fragrance is to put in CCPOD10 for the 10% discount. So if you'd like to find out about any of our fabulous sponsors, make sure you check out the links in the description below.
Welcome back to the Criminal Connection podcast with myself, Terry Stone, aka the Podfather. Today we're joined by a BAFTA-winning actress. She reminded me the first time I saw her of a young Kathy Burke. Please welcome the BAFTA-winning East End Essex legend, Katie Jarvis, aka Donna from Rise of the Footsoldier. Woohoo!
You right?
Good to see you, babe.
Thank you.
And yeah, I mean, I wanted to get you on the show because obviously we had a great time doing Rise of the Footsoldier Origins together.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that watched that, one of their favourite scenes was when you hit Craig Rolfe over the head with a plant pot.
Yeah, that was probably my favourite bit of the film as well. It was good fun.
And I loved it when you was like fucking ranting and raving at him, and he goes into the toilet and he's obviously washing his nether regions. And he's going, "You always see the worst in me, Donna," and all that. And I think any guy who has misbehaved to that level, and obviously a lot of guys like Craig Rolfe would have probably done that a million times. That resonated, and I think when we was at the premiere, I'm sure you remember, it was that was probably one of the funniest scenes in the film.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it did get everyone laughing, didn't it? Do you know what? Right? I didn't even know that was a thing that happened. When I read the script and like obviously my lines, and he's up there doing that, I was like, does this really go on? Like, is this really happening in relationships? Like, what the fuck? Obviously.
Come on, Kate. You've never hit a man over the head with a plant pot. Come on, you must have.
I've come close, very close. I think I've got a little bit more restraint than Donna though. So
yeah. But obviously we're on a Criminal Connection podcast. Loads of listeners and viewers, massive Footsoldier fans, massive true crime fans, and obviously for me, as I said, I've become aware of you as an actress when obviously I watched Fish Tank with Kirsten Waring.
Yeah.
It was also in Rise of the Footsoldier, but the first one.
Yeah, she was. Yep.
But for you, I mean, I'd just love to hear a bit about you. You know, where you grew up, what kind of got you into acting, really?
Well, grew up few different places in Essex and South London. And at the beginning, I was never really intending to pursue acting. Like when I'd done drama at school, I was always one of the shy, nervous ones, and I couldn't stand up in front of a crowd or have loads of eyes on me. So I always avoided drama. It just happened out of nowhere when I just happened to be having Big Barney one day. Believe it or not, like.
Right.
But no, it was Lucy Pardee, and she approached me when I'd got off the train a couple of stops further down, and it was all a bit of a whirlwind back then, to be honest.
Who was Lucy then? Was she?
She's a casting agent. So At the time, she was around scouting for girls of my age at that point. I think I was 15, 16 at the time. And she'd auditioned loads already. But because the character that she was casting for was obviously quite fiery and feisty and had a big mouth anyway, and she's just clocked to me being that way.
Right.
She was like, I think it'd be perfect for this film. And it took a couple of days and a bit of persuading for me to even believe it was all real. Right. And eventually I went to the auditions.
I bet you thought, she's chatting me up here.
Yeah, no, I was like, she was like, can I have your number? I went, no, you can't. She went, go on, take mine then. But, you know, it was my auntie in the end I was staying with, and she was just like, what have you got to lose? Do you know what I mean? So I ended up phoning her. It just so happened the first audition was in Tilbury, which is where I was staying at my auntie's anyway.
Wow.
So I went down the road. Don't know why they called me back again. Don't know why they called me back again.
Do you know what? What I find interesting is you had no interest in being an actress and or an actor, you know, and you've kind of gone through this thing, and it's sort of like divine intervention. It's like you're off the train and you've had a row with someone, and someone goes, "Oh, take my number. It'd be great in a movie," and you're like, "What?" And then you sort of ring up, and then it's it's in Tilbury, and you just happen to be in Tilbury.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it was crazy.
And when they got you in, did they get you to learn lines, or was it like improvisation?
So the auditions, I think what cracked it in the end for them was the final audition I done was at 3 Mill Studios, and that was improvisation scene where they wanted us, or there was a group of us girls. And I think at the time that was what done it for Andrea, where she decided she wanted me. But when it come to the script, there was a script, but she was very flexible with it as well. And she kind of enjoyed me taking it upon myself to do it naturally, or how I felt comfortable with it.
Amazing.
Some directors are obviously quite stick to the book, you know.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, Andrea Arnold, I've not. I remember that was her first film, wasn't it?
No, she'd done a few before that.
Right, okay, because I'd never heard of her, and I remember that film, and I just thought, wow, what a great movie. And again, I obviously knew Kirsten, but I didn't know you. And
she'd worked with Kirsten previously to that. I think it was called Red Road or something.
Saw that as well.
Yeah, Kirsten.
But Fish Tank was the big one, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, Michael was in it. I think Michael Fassbender and that.
That always helps.
Yeah, of course. Do you know what I mean? And I think at the time that the big fuss around me not being involved in drama before and stuff made people a bit curious to watch it. But I don't think she or anyone really was expecting it to kind of do as well as what it did. And to be honest, it was a bit like a dream. Like I was kind of breezed through it. I didn't know what was happening. I was just doing as I was told, going where I was meant to be. And it was just like, it was all like 2 years gone, just like that, in a blink. Like, okay, I'm moved on now.
Right.
It's mad, but
yeah.
I love Andrea to bits.
Yeah.
Love her to bits.
And obviously, after you did that film,
Yeah.
what happened? Did you get an agent straight away, or did you?
Yeah, they flooded in after Fish Tank come out. I was really
so you had to
lucky.
wait for it to come out.
Yeah, well, I weren't actively looking for one. So
Right.
after that, basically at the end of filming Fish Tank, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter.
Wow.
So I fell with her while filming.
Yeah.
And obviously, after all of that big,
Yeah.
uproar, I decided to then go quiet a little bit. I got through my pregnancy. And then when Lily was born, she was 4 weeks old when it was being premiered for the first time.
Wow.
So I downright refused to leave her in England because she was newborn, and I took her with me everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And she got to come to a few different countries when she was a baby.
Wow.
And it was so crazy thinking back to then, like how fast everything happened, and I'd like become like an actress on these films and a mum, and I weren't even 18 yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck's going on here? So yeah, it was mental, but it helped me grow up a lot. Like Andrea saved my life at the time in the situation I was in, and then my daughter saved me again.
So what happened? What was when you?
Nothing. I was here, there, and everywhere. I was just like, I was at college at the time doing hair and beauty, but I weren't living at home with my mum or nothing. Like I was just at mates, you know, not getting in trouble, but I was still a little f***er. Do you know what I mean? And I think what had happened when Andrea picked me, she took me from the troublesome area that I was in. And when I started doing Fish Tank, I left that area. I left all the trouble behind, and I never went back again after.
But if you'd have been there,
then my life would have turned out complete. Oh God,
Right.
yeah, it would have been completely different. I'd probably be in jail. No, joke. But no, yeah, it's crazy how things work out. Like, and then years down the line, actually, Andrea actually got my little sister and my niece a little advert and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It was quite cute. It was nice.
Amazing. And then obviously you get the call saying your film's premiering now. Was you nervous or not?
I still don't think until I actually got to the first, I think it was Cannes,
Right.
that made me, what the f***. I don't think it had actually sunk in, just how big it was, what was going on. Like when they were saying red carpet, it still hadn't sunk in till, do you know what I mean?
Have you been to a red carpet event before?
No, never ever.
So I suppose when someone says there's got a red carpet event,
I'm just thinking of on the TV, like, oh, a red rug on the floor. But when I got there and it's like, everything was just so beautiful and everyone was so glamorous, and it was literally what you see on films, do you know what I mean? Wow. And it was crazy. I didn't get a chance to absorb it though, do you know, because it was all so quick.
And then what happened then? Literally, as soon as that film came out, then you get the calls.
Yeah, agents were rolling in, and I went straight to Andrea because I'm obviously at that point very uneducated on the industry, very uneducated on the people in it, agents, or even what is supposed to happen.
Got it.
So I gave Andrea like these list of names that wanted me, and she told me who she believed would work best for me.
Well, that was kind of her to
Yeah, it
do
was.
that.
Yeah, she really looked out for me. She's always has. Like I know I could turn to her, and she'd always be there. She's amazing.
That's amazing. Well, Andrea, thanks
Arnold.
for your help and assistance.
Yeah.
And who did you end up going with?
The first one, Sue Latimer of ARG.
Right, okay. Because ARG, our Artist Rights Group, is then they're called. I mean that they were. I mean it was them, Independent United Agents. William Morris.
She joined up with UTA,
right.
United Talent Agency, and then I did fly out to America, but I'd left my daughter at that point, and some stuff had gone down, so I had to leave America and all these meetings that I had set up, and I had to come back home for my daughter.
Right.
So these things happen, but I didn't really get a good vibe in America. I didn't like it. I felt uncomfortable, so I chose not to go back again after anyway.
I think a lot of people have this sort of thing, or would love to go to Hollywood and this, that and the other. And I remember when I went to Los Angeles and went around the studios and spent some time there, and I did actually think, it's an odd place.
Yeah.
And I think lots of people wanted to live there, move there. But I was there, and the vibe I got was, I like to work here, but I wouldn't like to live here.
Yeah.
And I know
the
why
reality
I found
of
that.
it's very different, ain't it? Like, it's very different. Just felt uncomfortable. I mean, at the time I was still young, and I had flown out there on my own as well. So maybe that was part
Did you meet
of
up
the
with
reason.
Harvey? Did he invite you up to his
Oh,
room?
like, mate, I would have kept it quiet. You'd have heard me screaming, shouting, dancing, everything on the way out, I tell you.
If he'd invited you up to him, you'd have probably beat him
Yeah, I'll pick the vase up.
You'd have given him the plant pot treatment.
Yeah,
Look,
definitely.
will you give me a massage? No. Please give me a massage. Look, I'm just going to get a plant pot. Right?
Knock knock some sense into you.
But yeah, but I mean, do you know something? I think for you, I mean, there's obviously a lot of work because from memory, Kathy Burke obviously in her time was the go-to sort of London gal if you wanted an edgy, real, London actress, and then obviously she sort of stepped out of it, didn't she, and decided to go into directing. And I haven't seen any of her work, but everyone tells me that she's a fantastic director. And so I'm sure, obviously, when you signed with Sue Latimer, you probably had quite a lot of.
Yeah, she did. She got me a lot of work, a lot of auditions, and I obviously learnt a lot because I'd never auditioned.
Did you
before.
Go to drama school, have any acting lessons?
No.
So you just literally.
Yeah. And then I considered it after Fish Tank, but then I was advised and told not to,
Right.
because mainly by Andrea as well. She said that she believed that I was better, more natural, and that I shouldn't go and be trained on the spot to cry, laugh, be sad, be happy.
Right.
Whereas when I'm in a moment, I don't. It don't come. Comes more naturally, if you know what I mean.
Got it.
So I listened to the advice and I didn't bother. One thing I did try to do was elocution lessons, because I can have fun and mix about with different accents and that, but I cannot speak proper English for the life of me. Right? I really can't. Honestly, I won't get a filming job being a queen. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
Tried elocution, weren't happening.
Right. Repeat after me. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plane.
The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plane.
So you've got it. You could be Eliza Doolittle.
Yeah, no, that. That.
My Fair Lady.
I'll stick to my
From
own.
Romford.
Yeah. With a bud.
But I think. I mean, a lot of actors, do transition into different accents. But I definitely think that unless you're a master at it, I always think that people know if you're doing the accent or not, unless
definitely.
you're a master at it. And there are some actors that can do it seamlessly.
Yeah, there
but
really is. That actress in Killing Eve, the one with blonde hair, I can't remember her name. She
Jodie
is
Comer.
absolutely brilliant. She
She's
is.
amazing.
Yeah, incredible.
And I mean, her, Bradley Cooper. I mean, there's some actors
Bradley
and
Cooper's
actresses.
all right, isn't he?
He's a good boy. I actually, a friend of mine, is a big producer on Broadway.
Yeah.
And she phoned me up and she said, I'm coming to London. I'm doing a show of The Elephant Man with Bradley Cooper. And we're doing a limited run. I think it was in Haymarket. And she said, would you like to come? I was like, absolutely. And she said, he's doing something like nobody's ever done before. He's actually playing the Elephant Man, but with no makeup, no prosthetics. He's just doing it naturally. And I was thinking, I remember seeing the Elephant Man, and the Elephant Man looks fucked up, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, how's he going to pull it off? And then when you watched it and he did it, he started making all these like slight adjustments, and people started laughing because he was sort of going like that and he was speaking funny. But then when he actually completely went, you're like, fucking hell, he's actually transformed into the Elephant Man. And he did it without any prosthetics. And honestly, the whole thing, and when I saw the Elephant Man originally, nothing funny about it.
Yeah.
But he made it funny, which was uncanny. And I remember afterwards, there was this like after party, and we went, and it was around a swimming pool. It was like really weird. And he was there, and I really want to go up to him and go, Bradley, you fucking mustard, mate. Let's have a fucking picture.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be that guy. But he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
he's
then
great.
and then at that point, I think he was famous then, but he wasn't like he is now.
Big,
Do you know what I mean? And I mean, he's probably one of the. I mean, if you look at back in the day when it was, De Niro, Pacino, Pesky, it was like Ray Winston, Bing. There was a list of names. Gary Oldman. I mean, Gary Oldman's still big now, but there was a list of names then. And I think Bradley's now. I mean, he's if you look, it's Brad Pitt, Bradley Cooper. I mean,
definitely works his way all the way up,
good. So good. I mean, there's so many good films he's been in. You know what I mean? I don't think he's been in a bad film.
Yeah, he's not bad to watch at all, is he?
Pleasing on the eye, I think they
Very
say.
pleasing, yes.
So obviously, you did after Fish Tank.
Yeah.
What happened after that? Was you just doing? Did you do sort of commercials? Did you do low budget films? Did you do?
Well, no. Do you know what? It was really weird. After that, The second job I did was a silent short movie.
A silent movie?
A silent movie. And it was
Oh, you
10
didn't have
minutes
to worry about
hours.
accents then? Like that.
Yeah. Just try and look good if you can. But yeah, it was a silent movie. So that was quite weird, going from fish tank, do you know what I mean, to doing a silent movie. 10-minute tales that was. Really enjoyed it. And I've done a couple of short films, done a documentary, quite varied. And the fees have always varied.
Yeah.
Of some jobs I've had an untold amount of money. And then other jobs, I've just accepted them covering my childcare because I've wanted to do the part or the people that I'm working with or like for different reasons, do you know what I mean? So it's definitely never been about the money for me because I've done it for nothing sometimes.
Right.
It's literally like, I love being on set. I love it. I love the people. Like when you make a little family with everyone. Yeah. And it was always, not so much now, but when I started, it was always a way to be someone else, escape being me in my life.
Right.
And I think that's why I cracked it back then, because I preferred being not myself at the time, you know? Right. And then obviously over the years, I've come to appreciate the whole industry a lot more. I've learnt a lot more about it, all the people and stuff, and now I see it all completely differently. Yeah. But looking back, I mean, I was very lucky. Yeah. Very lucky. Where I come from, you know, like, and how everything all happened, I was very lucky.
And when the film came out, I can't remember when it came out, but how long after the film came out was it till you actually won your first Bafta? Was it a year or was it 6 months?
It was about a year, and that was for Fish Tank.
And when you went to the Baftas, at that point, did you think, I've actually fucking cracked it here?
No, because I still didn't realise at that point.
Wow.
Like my 17th birthday, they phoned me up to say, you've got the part of Mia. And on my 18th birthday, I was in Scotland, in Edinburgh, meeting Sean Connery, and I didn't even know who the man was. How disgraceful is that? Honestly.
James Bond!
He's come in, he's handed me an 18th birthday cake.
Look, see, is that
I know. I looked at him.
Sean.
I looked at him when I come in, bless him. Yeah. But he literally handed me an 18th birthday cake and a massive bunch of lilies because I'd given birth to my daughter Lily.
Oh, wow.
And I was so grateful, but I still didn't know who he was. And when I gone away, Andrea's like, that's fucking James Bond. I'm like, I don't know, do I? I'm fucking sorry. You know, what's the fuss about? Like, and then it was my granddad, like, clipped me up the ear and he was like, do you even know what company you've been in? I'm like, sorry, granddad.
do you know something? I only met Sean Connery once.
Yeah. And
it was about, I think it was about four years ago. And I was that lady that, she's now unfortunately no longer with us, and neither Sean. So rest in peace, Terry Allen Kramer and Sean Connery. But he was in the Bahamas, and she had a house in the Bahamas, and she invited me and my family there for holiday. So we were at this amazing place called Life of Key in the Bahamas, and she goes, "Oh, I've got a famous actor coming to dinner tonight." I went, "Who's that?" And she went, "Sean Connery." I was like, "Oh my God!" I said, "He was the greatest Bond. I can't wait to meet him." I said, "Please sit him next to me." So she went, "Of course." Right. So I'm sat at this table. He's come in. And we've had a drink before, and we've had a chat, and we've had a real laugh. And he's actually just so like normal, right? Yeah. And then we sat down at the table, we had a few glasses of wine, and all he wanted to talk about was golf and red wine, right? He didn't want to talk about anything else. And I was going to him, anyway, Sean, you know, I know we've talked about the Malbec, I know we've talked about the Bordeaux, I know we've gone on about the Opus One in California, but you were fucking great James Bond, right? And he goes, was I? You know, but he was very just like, you know, whatever. And we talked a little bit about his career, but I think he got to the point where he'd cracked it over the years, and he was happy to be in Nassau, Life of Key, Bahamas, with his wife Micheline, and they just, he went out playing golf all day. Yeah. In the evening, just ate and drank red wine. Yeah. And unfortunately, I had obviously passed, but that was when I met him, but I obviously knew who he was. Yeah. But even if you'd have known who he was, he probably would have, I don't know. How long ago was that? I
was 18. It was my 18th birthday. I'm 32 now. So 14 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm pretty sure he was still acting in, but then there come a point when he went, I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah. And I don't know why, but I think he had a place in New York, and then he come away from America, and I think he just moved to the Bahamas. I mean, when I met him, he must have been late 80s. Yeah. But he looks amazing.
Yeah, he did. Even when I met him, and he was so tall as well, because I'm quite tall for a girl. So even when I met him, I was like, bloody hell, you know what I mean? You normally shrink when you get older. He didn't.
No, he was good fun. Good value.
Lovely, really laid back, nice.
And what was the thing in Scotland he was doing? Was that just?
He was presenting me. It was an award ceremony. It was for Edinburgh Film Festival.
Wow.
So he was presenting me with a award. I think I've got a picture on my Instagram of him presenting me with it. Actually.
So you won the Edinburgh Film Festival award, and then did the BAFTA come after that or before that?
I think it was a little bit after. Fish Tank was doing the rounds, and I'd won a couple. I won Best Newcomer, Trailblazer, Best Actress, BAFTA. I won a bit of everything for that.
So, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because lots of actors and actresses would go, wow, you know, that's their dreams for attain that. They've been at drama school for 3 years. They're working, they're trying to find that role. And then you just come out of nowhere and it's gone bang and just got it.
Yeah.
And I mean, did you find, like, once you'd got all that, did you sort of feel, wow, I've actually done something good here? Or did you still
I felt a bit like an imposter.
Right.
Sometimes.
You feel like you snuck into BAFTA and stole
what
it.
the f*** am I doing here with all this lot? No, honestly, I did. Sometimes I found myself in some situations in the first couple of years, like trying to, you know, like learn about it, meet people and understand it all. I'd be sitting around some tables looking at everyone thinking, can't believe I'm here. Like, do you know what I mean? Hearing everyone else's stories, like you said, of being drama school and always wanting to do it. Like, I loved it, I enjoyed it and I appreciated it. But obviously it was something that just come out of the blue for me. Yeah. And that happened literally overnight. So there were a lot of times where I sat there and thought, like, do I deserve it as well? You know, like questioning, like, and I still don't see what Andrea saw in me back then. Like, for me, it's just switch off me and I become whatever this character is in front of me. Yeah. But I still don't see what it was everyone saw back then. And it's just, I think that's probably why I've done so well, because I wanted it, but I weren't trying too hard.
Do you know what?
It was just all natural.
As somebody who's obviously worked with you in the past and we're friends, I look at you, right? And if someone said to me, what's special about Katie? I would actually say she's real. And I think if you look at a lot of actresses, even ones that are from London, obviously they've gone to go through drama school. You obviously have to have money, and you obviously have to have some level of privilege. Yep. And obviously, you could have any actress playing working class. You could have any actress playing upper class. Same with the actors, right? Yeah. But if you actually said, I want a real Londoner, someone who's from that place that you look at and go, that's real. That's someone's acting, but it's real. And I think it's like Kathy Burke, it's like Ray Winston, it's like Jamie Foreman. It's real. Do you know what I mean? They are acting, but they are them people.
Yeah,
right?
Thanks. So I appreciate that.
So I think it's the realness, and I think if look, I'm not Andrew Arnold, but I would have looked at you and I'd have gone, if we want someone for that part, we want someone that people are going to go, I've seen her on the estate, or I know someone like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's her. She's playing her.
but you know, and you know, I think you can act, but you know, it doesn't seep through you. Do you know what I mean? I think if you're
act, react.
No, and you're from, you know, if you're from the street, people know you're from the street. And you can't act that you're from the street. You can pretend. Yeah. But I think anybody from the street will go, it's bollocks. So I think you've definitely captured
the street vibes.
The street vibes. And you know, so you've gone through all this stuff. And then what was the big thing after Fish Tank for you?
So to me, I don't know, might be different opinions for my agent and other people, but for me, I was really glad when I got a part of a woman who I played, a real life woman. Like, she had gone through something a few years, and it was like spiritual stuff back. So that was a lot for me, because she approached me on Facebook and it was like, whoa, I've got to play this lady, and she's hit me up on Facebook. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that was a lot for me. But once I'd finally met her and that, I was quite grateful and appreciative. She wanted me to, you know, reenact what she'd experienced and gone through, and it was great. Like, and I'm still friends with her, even now we're still in touch. Amazing. And I really enjoyed that. And the next major thing to everyone else, though, is probably going to be Eastenders, ain't it? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, do you know something? I know lots of people look down their nose at soaps, right? And in the old days, it was like, if you're a film actor, you're God. If you're a TV actor, you're not really that important. But then obviously as things have changed, I think the TV, everyone wants to be in TV now. So all the film actors are going, I like being a film actor, but I really like to do TV.
Yeah.
And I think TV back in the day, when there was only like 3 channels, right?
Yeah.
And anyone watching this will go, what are you fucking talking about? Because they haven't lived that long, right? But in the old days, there was 3 channels, and when Channel 4 came on, it was like, oh, we got 4 channels now, and it was groundbreaking, And then when we had Channel 5, it was like, wow, we got 5 channels, looking at that back then, TV was okay, but I think as with everything, technology, with the writing, the acting, the way that the cameras have improved, everything moves on.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at TV now, even EastEnders, and Emmerdale Farm on Coronation Street, the production values are similar, but they've obviously upped the ante.
Yeah.
And also, if you watch, TV series now, they're not spending a few $100,000 an episode; they're spending millions.
Yeah.
So they're like watching mini films. And look, if you're in EastEnders, when was you in EastEnders? Was it what years?
I've been out of it now so that was 5, 6 years now. It's been a few years.
Right. And how long was you in it for?
Year and a half.
Right. So for that year and a half, I would say there was probably like 10 to 15 million people watching that show at that time.
Yeah, I think it was 106 episodes I done, and they gave me Christmas, Boxing Day, New Year episodes, everything. I was very lucky. I'd done 10 years of film, series, documentary before EastEnders, but obviously not everyone saw it in the millions. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe Fish Tank, but not the others.
Yeah.
EastEnders just threw me in everyone's front room.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like every single day of the week.
Is that girl again?
Like, yeah, here she is, old lad math. Do you know what I mean? But that's essentially what it done. And I'd watched EastEnders all my life growing up. Like it was like church in my house. Do you know what I mean? My mum would not go a night without missing it. But it was really weird because it's a whole different thing shooting at a soap, ain't it? It's completely different to a film set. Like you're reeled in, you're reeled out. Like there's not much flexibility with changing lines or stuff. Like you have to stick to your script a lot more. But the in terms of the cast and the family and the directors that were there, they're all really close knit. You know what I mean? It's really everyone's lovely there. I got on great with everyone. But
what shocked me? I mean, I only did like 2 episodes, but what shocked me was the ones I did. There was a big scene with when Alfie Moon was marrying Kat. Sorry, Alfie Moon wasn't marrying Kat. She was marrying the gangster.
Oh.
And Alfie Moon obviously doesn't want to get married, so he turns up at the church and Bill's there, and there was a big fight and all that. It was a big, massive thing. And I was the guy who was terrorising Alfie Moon in the Queen Vic for this gangster. And it was actually quite funny because obviously for me, I was like fucking like, wow, I'm like you, you've been watching this all your life and now you're actually fucking in.
I was
in a couple of
starstruck on there,
episodes. And I always remember sitting, having a cup of tea, and Jim Brown, bless her, God rest her soul as well, she sat down and she was had a lot of penny on, and she was like just like smoking and smoking.
Yeah, she's the only one that was allowed.
She went, hello. And I went, hello, June, how are you? She goes, I'm lovely.
Yeah.
And I was chatting away to her, and she said something profound to me. I said to her, I said, I'm really interested, June. Like, when did you get your first big break? And she said, in whenever it was, right? And I said, what was it? She said, this, right? And I went, wow, you've been in this that long? And she went, yeah. And I said, of course you have, right? Because she was in it from day one.
Yeah.
And I said to her, so what did you do before? And she said, oh, when I left drama school, did a bit of theatre, did an advert, did a low budget film, did a bit of TV. She said, I just bummed around. She said, I was like a jobbing actress, but she said, this was my big break. Yeah. And I said, how old was you? And I think she was like 60, right? So you think, wow, she's been acting for all that period of time.
Yeah.
And she'd always yearned to be working as an actress daily. And then literally she went, oh, I've got to go on now, love. And I'll see you later. And she put a cigarette down, gone on the set. She's like fucking just reading out like pages of fucking dialogue. And you're sitting there going,
yeah.
Do you remember all that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She was definitely known for that. She knew all of her lines, never got them wrong. She was obviously always allowed to walk around smoking.
but that I think a few actors that have been in EastEnders said to me, it sounds ridiculous. Like what you work all day, you go home, you've got fucking 20 pages to learn that night, then you're on set the next day.
Yeah.
But as you get into it, it just becomes normal.
Yeah. I learn everyone else's lines as well. That helps me because, like, so when I read the page, I'm trying to memorise the whole thing, so then I can react, or it triggers what I've got to say based off of what they've just said to me. So that's how I always learn my lines. Plus, I'm a woman, I don't forget fuck all.
Right. No, it is true. Women are hard drives.
Yeah. It's all up there, mate.
My wife does that a lot. You know, she'll say something, and I'll say something, and then she'll go, well, 5 weeks ago at 3:15 on Saturday, you said this, and I'll be like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know what I said yesterday, let alone 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's it. Women got it all up there naturally. So that's in my favour.
How did it change your life? Actually going from, obviously being, if people had watched them films, they'd know you were, but being, like you said, in everyone's house, did it change your life massively?
Yeah. Like, as I've done the 10 years beforehand, I probably got pulled up 3 or 4 times randomly out and about by someone that might have known me from Fish Tank or something. And then I remember the day that I'd probably been on about 3 or 4 episodes at this point where they just slowly weaned me into EastEnders. And I remember the day that I first got recognised. I took both my kids into KFC to buy us dinner, and all the staff just huddled around the drinks area and were all staring at me while we were sitting at the table eating, taking pictures. And that's when my kids were all like, they were really young at the time as well, Martu. They were a bit daunted by it, and it was all new and scary for me because I didn't know how people were going to react.
Yeah.
And my character in EastEnders, they had thrown between a really iconic couple, being Kat and Alfie. So I was a little bit nervous that the public wouldn't like me because they love them too. But I mean, Jess and Shane, they welcomed me in straight away. Like, they were amazing, love them both to bits. And even though my character got in the middle of their relationship and stuff, the public were always really great and supportive towards my character, Hayley. She went through a lot in the time that I was there. And I was really lucky at the feedback that I got and stuff from doing it. Do you know what I mean?
And when you sort of did your year and a half, did you get killed off or did you leave with the door open?
Left with the door open.
Okay.
Hayley left to get better. Right. So initially my character was sent in being Kat's cousin to try and set up Martin, see if he'd cheat on Stacey. And then she ends up staying longer, obviously. But she turns up like this feisty, chirpy, really confident, energetic girl and stuff. And it slowly goes downhill from there with her mental health and stuff. And she ends up on the other end of an affair with Alfie, and all sorts of alcohol problems. Like, it was a lot. It was a lot,
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the characters in EastEnders do go to them dark places.
Yeah. It was mental.
One of my good pals was in EastEnders, and he had Billy Murray, and he had a significant role in it, and he became like a really popular character. And I remember I hadn't seen him for like 3 months because he'd just gone into the show. Yeah. And he went, "Tell, we got to have some lunch." And I went, "Sweet." I said, "Let's meet up." So I've gone to meet him. And obviously, for me, like, he's just Billy. Do you know what I mean? I worked with him in a few movies and we have a laugh and we're mates. But going to lunch with him and witnessing the EastEnders effect, literally you're sitting there chatting away, eating, people are just coming up, sticking phones in your face, just taking a picture and he's walking off, and then coming up to him and going, "Mate, my mum's on the phone, say hello."
Yeah.
I've
had that as well.
Literally sitting there, and after about 10 minutes of it, I said to him, "Does this not actually fucking get on your nerves?" And he went, "I'm in this fucking show, do you know what I mean? He said, this is part of it, right?"
Yeah.
And I went, "Do you know something?" I said, "If I ever see a celebrity out that I actually would like to say hello to, or say I like your work, or shake their hand or have a picture or whatever, I would never do it if they were eating or if they were with their kids or if they were busy."
Time and a place, isn't there?
I'd sort of think, if there's an opportunity to just go, "Mate, I love your work." Do you know what I mean? And that's it. Or, and one of my mates done this joke on George Clooney once, right, which was fucking hilarious. And he was at this awards thing and he walked up to him and he went, "George," he goes, "I love your work." And George goes, "Oh, thank you so much." And he goes, "What was your favourite?" And he goes, "An espresso advert."
He was paid a bloody mint for that, I think, wasn't he?
And he said, George just looked at him and smiled, but he said you could see he was thinking, you
Yeah.
but it just absolutely made me laugh.
Yeah. Do you know what I find is, as well, when people tend to stare, and I find that half the time, if they just come over and do say hello, then they crack on with their day. But if they haven't got the bollocks to come and say hello, then they're just like gawking at you. Like, so I do appreciate it more when people just come and say hello. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just being bogged at.
Well, also sometimes, and this has happened to me on a couple of occasions where, because obviously I wear that silly wig, right? People recognise me, but they're not sure if it's me.
Yeah.
And then I could be somewhere, and then someone's just looking at me, and this
Trying to figure it out.
This happened to me on the train one night, and I actually was going to fucking do these three fellas, right? Because I'm literally sat on the train, and I'm reading a book.
Yeah.
And yeah, when someone's looking at you, right? And it was like the last train, right? So it was late, right?
Yeah.
And I looked over, and there's these like three fellas, and they're sitting on a thing, and they all look fucking shifty, right?
Yeah.
And they were all like going like that. And then they was looking, and then they were like saying something. And I was just thinking, please don't fucking try and turn me over. Right.
Yeah.
And then the train stops, they get up and they come, two sit there, one sits down. I'm thinking, it's definitely on here.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm reading the book, and then one of them goes, oh mate. So I've got the book like that, and I've literally got the book in my hand, and I'm just going to do the geezer in the face with this book, right? Big hardback book. And I'm literally going, yeah. And he goes, I love your films. I was going, oh really? You know, thanks so much.
Yeah.
And he goes, can we have a picture? I went, yeah, sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, you know, you see it and you think straight away,
Yeah.
I'm going to get turned over it, or they think they're going to turn me over.
Yeah, it's going to go one way or the other. Yeah, one way or the other.
But that's happened a couple of times, and it's always like weird. You know, if they'd just waved, I'd be like, sweet. But I'm sitting there thinking, and when I get up and they sit there, I'm thinking,
yeah, thinking the worst. Yeah, you would.
But yeah, no, it is weird. But you know, most people that I've met, I'd say probably nearly everybody I've met, everyone's been really polite, everyone's been really friendly, and we've actually had a laugh. You know, people have. I'm sure you had people quoting dialogue at you.
Oh God.
Has anybody actually took the Eastenders stuff seriously though and gone, I can't believe you did that, Aileen? You're like, my name's Katie.
I get caught. Aileen, but my voice, because I actually naturally talk in real life the way I did in EastEnders, and not all of them do. Like, obviously Danny does, you know what I mean? He's naturally Cockney himself, but most of the others are obviously a bit more well-spoken. So they hear my voice outside, it's quite distinctive anyway, like loudmouth over here. So people normally catch me by my voice or reckon, or like go, ain't that, you know what I mean? Just even if I'm having a telephone conversation, oh, ain't you Ailey? Oh, yeah, sweet. You know what I mean? So it's just got to learn to keep my mouth shut, I think, and then I'll be all right. Story of my life.
Yeah, no, it is funny. I mean, you know, I think the funniest one is when people drive past and come and shout things at you.
Yeah.
I normally get cheesy. Like,
well,
actually quite funny, cheesy. You look round and you're like,
yeah, I've had let me smell your cock a few times, thanks to.
You say, I haven't got a cock.
Do you know what I mean? Honestly, terrible that was.
But we've got to talk about obviously Rise of the Footsoldier. But after EastEnders, you left EastEnders, and then what happened after that? What was you doing after that?
So initially, when I first left EastEnders, my stepmum and my granddad have just passed away, quite close together. And my agent was then saying to me, like, if you're going to go back to EastEnders after a little break, then you might as well write off films.
Really?
Yeah, because I'd been in it for a year and a half. She was like, you might get stuck there. Yeah, you end up typecast. It might be harder for you to get back into films if you want to in the future.
Right.
So in that couple of months, I kind of just had to get over like what had gone on in my family, the grieving and stuff. And I thought like I didn't really want to get like the thought of getting stuck, not being able to do a film again, played on my mind a lot. And EastEnders was it took it out of me. Like, I don't drive and I lived quite far away from the studios. I did consider moving up there, but I didn't want to move away from my home roots. I didn't want to leave where I've been brought up, where I come from, all my family, all my friends. And it just didn't appeal to me whatsoever. So for me, I prefer doing films. I like meeting different families, going different places, and being able to go back home and then the film's done for a couple of weeks, rather than the 5 to 6 days a week, 12 to 14 hours. Do you know what I mean? It was a lot.
And am I right in saying, obviously you're a single parent as well?
Yeah.
So obviously you got your 2 kids you got to look after.
Yeah, yeah.
So doing what you do, you need to obviously provide for your kids.
Yeah.
And when you're not working, you got to look after them. So, you know, I mean, look, you know,
Yeah,
it's
well,
a
their
full-time
dad
job.
ain't been in a picture for, well, my daughter's nearly 15. I think she was 2. So, and they're my life. I do everything for them now. Do you know what I mean? They're the reason why I am. That's what makes me behave myself. Do you know what I mean? And that they're everything.
Lots of people, you know, that aren't in that environment where, you know, they've had to bring up 2 kids on their own, and you've obviously a strong woman and you've done that and you provided for your kids. Bringing up kids is a full-time job. You know, I know this because occasionally I've had to look after my kids, right? And I've actually said to my wife, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
And lots of guys joke about, oh, my wife doesn't do anything all day. You know, she's has a great time. But I know from first now, it's, you know, it's a full-time job being a mum.
Yeah.
And then having to juggle everything and then work.
Yeah. Have your own life and work as well.
It is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard.
Yeah, it is.
But you know, the fact you do that is you know, like you said, you know, live for your kids and you know, and I kind of get what your agent said about EastEnders, but if you look at Danny was in it for years. He's come out, he's gone straight into a Nick Love film, hasn't he? So
yeah, well, I took a few months out and then I actually went and got a normal job for a bit, trying to get my head straight after losing me stepmum and my granddad.
Because I think, because you got some flack for that, didn't you?
So I've done security, yeah? I got security, because my sister Becky, she's already a security guard. So after all that had happened and my contract had ended with EastEnders and stuff, and I decided to take 3 months out, rather than sit at home, be depressed and miserable, I thought I'd go and work with my sister Becky. So we both worked at the same place doing security. She got me in there, yeah? And it turns out about a week later, obviously word's got about, Hayley Slater's in B&M doing security. And about a week later, the phones all start ringing up. It's the Mirror, basically, and the Daily Mail and that, all basically stalking me, yeah? And then these pictures come out in the paper, like front page the next day, of me walking into work. Like, I've got a Costa coffee in my hand and a fag in the other. It looks fucking marvellous. But and then I'm standing, obviously,
you were channeling your inner.com.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? But then I'm standing on the door, obviously where security stands, and then this geezer comes in and approaches me, and I thought nothing of it at first, and he's like, oh, and then he says who he is, and I'm just like, he's like, can't I get a few words? I'm like, no, I'm at work. I think you should just leave the premises, please. You know what I mean? And if you want mine, stop ringing them up in my office. He's gone and took more pictures and that, do you know what I mean? And then obviously made a small statement in the paper about what I'd said to him. But I just thought, so what? I'm standing there doing security. What's your job? Standing outside taking pictures, you mug. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, yeah, I'll take pictures, what?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, again, you know, it's sort of like people enjoy, it's like, you know, what's the story? Oh, you know, she's not on EastEnders. She's now working. But
do you know,
up
until EastEnders, I'd never had no bad publicity. I'd never had no drama. I'd never had no shit at all. Go on EastEnders and everyone jumps on everything. Everyone's up your arse. Everyone wants to be in and out of your business. Everyone thinks they know you. So it just changes the whole dynamic completely.
And the thing is, you know, for me, if I'd have been on that side, I would have been thinking, she's got 2 kids, she's a single mum. Of course she's going to go and get a job.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It'd be a different story if they see me walking in the job centre.
Right.
I'd be a scumbag, wouldn't I? But I'll go and get a job. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't win, You can't win. It doesn't matter what you do, you can't win.
And what I don't understand, like, from you know, there will be people that would enjoy that. Ha! You know, I'm glad that she's not working.
Yeah, gloating. Yeah,
and
there
you
will
just
be.
think,
100%.
You know, and I've never understood that sort of haters, negative mentality because for me, I think the fact that you got 2 kids to look after and you're providing for them, and like you said, a lot of people don't know this, but 95% of all actors are unemployed, right? And if you're unemployed as an actor, you know, you can't go and get a fucking normal job. You have to do a temporary job, whether it's security, whether it's working in a bar, whether it's driving an Uber, whether it's cleaning toilets, whatever it is.
Waitressing, all that luck. That's what happens.
Yeah,
You're in between gigs, ain't you? That's
and
it.
then people go, well, I'm going to do that. And it's like, well, look, you don't get a week's notice. You get a phone call at 4 o'clock and I'm sending you a script, learn it tonight, be in London tomorrow, or do a self-tape, and that's it. Literally. Right? And then you do it, you either don't get a call or any feedback, or you get a call going, you got a job, you start in 2 days' time. Now, if you've got a proper job, you can't go in and go, sorry, I'm off for 3 weeks.
Yeah, you know, see you in a month.
They'll be like, goodbye.
Yeah.
So a lot of people,
you're living by the seat of your knickers, ain't you?
A lot of people, I mean, obviously I go by the seat of my pants.
Oh, I don't know. Are you sure? I thought they were pink.
I didn't wear knickers today. But I was going to wear them for you, Katie, but I thought...
I don't wear them. Fuck knickers.
But genuinely, I've been around actors and actresses for long enough to know A, how hard it is for them, and B, I've done it. So, and that's why I've produced, that's why I've done other things, because if you just wait for the phone to ring, you're either going to run out of money or you're going to be bored.
Yeah.
And even if you've got a wealthy mummy and daddy, or you've got a trust fund that says, you can do whatever you want, you're still going to get bored out of your mind just sitting indoors waiting for the phone to ring. So I think even if somebody had said to me, you've got a trust fund behind you, do whatever you want, after a couple of weeks of sitting at home, playing PlayStation or watching movies or drinking or smoking or whatever, you'd be bored.
Yeah.
So, I think getting out
I agree with you.
And like you said, you weren't with your sister. It's not hardly, but you probably had a good laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good laugh. Yeah. I'm too much time on my hands, and it can be a bit dangerous.
Right.
So that's why I tend to always keep myself busy.
Right.
I've done so much, like in between the filming, I've done a railway engineering course. I'm qualified in nails. So I've done all sorts. Like the list is never ending.
So I could actually come and see you for manicure then.
I don't
sort
do
me
feet,
out.
mine. So you can keep your whammers to yourself. But yeah, I'll just.
Right.
I get like bored easy, and I think that's why I prefer films to soap, being stuck at, because you're just here, there, and everywhere, like different. Like my attention span is shite.
And then after that, what happened after the security thing?
Then I got a couple of other little jobs, a couple of other little bits and bobs that went all right. And and then I've pulled back a little bit now. Last film I done was obviously Footsoldier, and I was f***ing over the moon to be invited to play Donna.
Yeah, because obviously, so when you had that problem in Southend, was that before Footsoldier?
Yeah, and I nearly didn't get the part of in Footsoldier neither, because of obviously all the fuss around it.
Look, there's been press articles about it.
Yeah.
But obviously you actually went through it.
Yeah.
And obviously what fucking happened, right?
Yep.
And it's a good way for you to actually let everybody know actually what happened that day. What actually happened was you because you don't live in Southend. You was in London.
No, I lived in Raynham at that time.
Right.
I'm not in the same place anymore, but it was like I'd just come back from a film meeting in London,
right?
And it was the first day since lockdown was lifted, and
lockdown was up, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was majorly.
How did you find that?
Bit of a nightmare, especially with both the kids, like off
they
school.
Go out, right?
Yeah, and you can't go out, you can't do f*** all, like trying to educate them at home, like as well. It was a lot. So this first day of lockdown, when it was like so hot and sunny as well, and I'd had this meeting for a film, it was like, wow, everything's going back to normal, like.
Yeah.
And I only was in Southend with my both kids to go Venture Island to celebrate the meeting that I'd just left.
Right.
And yeah, without obviously going, because it's a long story, but it just went from A to fucking Z, like, and I ended up with a mother and 4 daughters jumping on me. My reaction to their physical and verbal abuse was terrible.
Right.
And got me into a lot of trouble.
Right.
And
if you're, you got to put this into context. If you're somewhere with your children celebrating, and then you're set about by 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
Most people,
Well, at the time, the police turned up as well, and I walked straight over to the old Bill and went, "Did you see that? That was 5 on 1." And he went, "We ain't got the resources to deal with it."
Wow.
Right? So they all got to sit back down in their chairs eating their fish and chips while I was walked up the high street because of my reaction. Because once I lose my shit, I'm then ranting and raving, innit? So then I look like the bad person. But let's not talk about what got me to that point. Let's just talk about what she's doing. Do you know what I mean? And that's why there was this long thing, like it dragged out 2 years on bail. Then it was 2 years till my court date.
You had to wait 4 years?
And 4 years till it was all over. 2 years I was on bail. And then I went back to the police station and they charged me with like 5 different charges. Like, you're having a f***ing laugh, mate. I've never been in trouble with the police in my whole entire adult life. And then they're trying to slap all this on me. Everyone going, Eastenders girl, Eastenders girl. Obviously, the videos and that have been shared don't help, but you don't see everything. You don't see everything that happens. And people have cut it and edited it.
But what actually happened?
Because I tried to borrow a chair.
Right, okay.
And one of the daughters jumped up, kissed her teeth at me. I went, you should ask before taking a chair, innit? I put the chair down and went, all right, love, no need to be rude about it. And you can see me on the cameras. My hands are up. All right, love, no need to be rude about it. And her and her mothers run through a fucking, you know them, you get like them, what are they called? You got the ropes.
Oh, yeah.
On the banisters. And her and her mothers just run through this rope at me. I'm standing there like this and I'm walking backwards.
Right.
You can see me on the CCTV.
Wow.
You know, but what's happened is the police know that, the courts know that, yeah?
Right.
But the whole country don't know that because all the CCTV ain't been put out.
Got it.
But then I've gone to court.
I always say there's two sides to every story.
Yeah, I've gone to court, charged with 5 different offences, and I walked out of there, got found not guilty of 4. And I went guilty to one of them because I was guilty of that. I was guilty of public order and shouting my mouth off and being rude.
Right.
So I held my hands up and said, yes, I'm guilty to that.
Right.
But all the other stuff I thought.
But this is what's interesting, right? I remember at the time seeing it in the press.
Yeah,
right?
it don't look great, does it, tell?
No, I just thought, you know, this isn't the Katie I know. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I thought it was just like fucking crazy, right? And when you had, you know, the all the stuff, you know, and this is really, you know, if 5 people all say something and there's just you,
Yeah, I've got no chance.
right? It's like, well, and it doesn't matter, right? If 5 people say this is what's happened, one person somewhere it didn't, they're going to go, well, 5 people say it did.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, there's no justifying my reaction because it was disgusting. I mean, I even cried my eyes out to Nick over it. Do you know what I mean? I did. I thought, what the f have I done, man? Do you know what I mean? All I've done is stoop to their level. Right. All I've done is give them what they wanted.
But the reality is, right, and this is how it is, right? And I'll always say how it is, right? If you are in a pub or whatever and you are with your kids and somebody goes for you, you're going to defend yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
And you ain't going to be polite to them. You are going to shout and scream. You're going to probably call them and all sorts of things, right? So for me, you know, I don't condemn anybody. I'm not saying you're right, they're wrong, you're right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if you've gone up and said, "Can I borrow the chair?" They could have just, if they weren't using the chair, they could have just gone, "Yeah, sweet."
Yeah.
But obviously, that when you was like that,
Yeah.
you know, you're not confrontational. If you'd have been like, "Who you fucking talking to?" and she'd have got up, then it'd be like, "Well, you shouldn't have done that, really."
Yeah, no, I literally walked backwards with my hands up like that, and they've just all run at me. Like.
But I noticed that obviously you've now obviously told us actually what's happened, but I noticed that the press didn't run a thing saying, "Oh, by the way, all this stuff that she was charged for, you know, there's only the public order thing."
Yeah, no, they won't. Yeah. They won't.
But
when I was in Crown Court, all the press were outside, all with their cameras and that, and like up until that point, I'd not made any statements. I'd not released anything of my opinion in this whole 4 years online to anyone, nothing. I've just stayed out the way and silent. And that's probably not helped my case because then everyone's wanting something more out of me because I've not spoke.
Do you know what the problem is, Katie? And this is actually true. Lots of people say, like if you look at the, you know, the Queen, right? God rest her soul, right? We're talking about lots of dead people today, right? But she always had a thing, never complain, never explain, right? And her thing was always like, just don't fucking comment on it, right?
It adds fuel to the fire.
The problem is when people are, you know, you've said this, you said that, you're racist, you're this, you're that, whatever. Whatever you say, there's going to be there's going to be something they're going to say, well, you know,
you can't please everyone.
So if whatever you'd have said, they'd have gone, "Oh, well, of course she's going to deny it. She's not going to admit that." So whatever you say, you're never going to win. And I genuinely think the fact that you actually did keep, didn't raise to it and didn't answer any of the questions, you just went, "Look, I go to court, say what I got to say,
that's
let
it."
them decide." And obviously the press was there because they were probably hoping you got found guilty on the 5 counts and they can go, "Oh, see, you know, you're the female Tommy." You know what I mean? So and obviously, you know, the press love, you know, to go after Tommy. They love anything that's sensational. An Eastenders actress behaving badly. Look at all this stuff. But you know, it's good to hear
the actual truth about what happened,
Yeah.
and the result, right? And like you said, you could have gone not guilty on all of them, but on the one, you know. But
I explained that's my reaction, but I still did it. Doesn't matter if it's a reaction.
But if these people, whoever they were, did attack you, did nothing happen to them?
No, because they're the ones that rang the police and it was on me. Now, when the case was over, that was for me to then pursue them.
Right.
But I ain't going to do that.
No. But I would have thought...
But
normally,
now, when I was found not guilty, then that's when my solicitor said to me, because obviously I said to her, like, you can clearly see in the videos, they're attacking me. Like, one of the birds got a fucking shoe, smashed me in the back of my head with a IL. Like, and I'm like, on my own, like, no pals, like, and you got a woman and her 4 daughters, yeah? Clearly see it. Why didn't none of them get nicked? She said to me, "You're like the case is already opened against you at the moment. So until it's been through court."
I always thought that if somebody made an allegation against you, but they did something to you, you could also make a counter allegation.
I tried to. I mean, I was even accused of slapping a 13-year-old. It was really serious,
Wow.
It was really serious. It was a social worker
Right.
that put in a statement to the police saying that I slapped a 13-year-old. And when they went back and checked all the cameras, they found out she was lying.
Wow.
She works for Southend. I'd love to say her name, but I won't.
Right.
But she's a social worker that works for Southend, and she put in a statement to the police, physically lying. The police checked the cameras of where she said she saw me doing it, and I got not guilty for it. So you can, social worker can, because she was a black woman that I'd offended with my language. But why would you go and lie and say I've hit a child when I ain't?
Yeah.
Just to fuck my life up. So then for 4 years, I'm being accused of hitting a kid
Right.
as well. It's not just racial or being violent and apparently being drunk and all that. It's also apparently hitting a minor, you know? And I was so glad when I walked out of there and proved myself. And I said it all along, the cameras, because the Southend is obviously cameraed up to the 9. So it took them a long time to get every bit of footage, piece it all together and my movements. Yeah. But when I walked out of there, it was just such a sigh of relief. Like, everyone thinking that I'm like, I know I'm a bit of a nightmare of a big mouth, but everyone thinking I'm this scumbag, like major scumbag.
Katie, I love you.
I love you too. Come on. But yeah.
But genuinely, I'm glad you shared the story with us because, you know, and I do think sometimes people do make things up. People do say things about people because they want to, you know, slander them, defame their reputations, get them in trouble.
Yeah.
And
I would never give anyone the opportunity or the ammunition to call me a liar, ever.
Right.
So if I'm asked a question, I will be honest, and I pride myself on and taking accountability when I f***ed up all the time.
Yeah.
But with that means that I also point out other people when they've f***ed up and all, because if I can do it.
And people don't like it.
No.
Yeah, they don't have been pulled up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just admit it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and obviously, you know, so did that happen before we started filming Footsoldier?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So the talks were a little bit like already happening.
Because you was already casting Footsoldier at that moment, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the talks already happening. But then obviously because of how bad it all got out of hand, Nick said like, you know, I need to have a bit of a meeting with him and Andy. And I was shitting myself. I was thinking, I didn't care about all the other filming at the time. I was thinking like Footsoldier, fact, like I've worked with Nick before.
Yeah.
So he's my friend as well as working with him before. And I've got a lot of love and respect for him. And it did break my heart at first thinking that there were talks around the table with all the fellas, you know, that they might not have been able to cast me still, being worried about the negative backlash.
Do you know, so what, I think, but you weren't charged. You was on bail, weren't you?
I was on bail.
Yeah. So I remember the conversation because obviously we worked with Nick and Annie. We made that Rise of Footsoldier Origins together, and
yeah.
I remember the conversations, and I think if you'd have been charged, it would have been awkward because obviously if you'd have gone to court, and then it had come out, lots of people now are very sensitive around anything that's, you know, going to upset people. Do you know what I mean? So obviously if you're dealing with like Amazon, Netflix, Sky, people like that.
Yeah, of course. I understood that, and that's why it broke me heart.
Yeah.
Because I just thought I've got major, like, you know what I mean? And when I went and met Andy, I remember going to have dinner and that with him and discuss it. Basically, him and Nick had said like that they believe I'm perfect to play Donna, and they didn't want to recast me.
Yeah.
And I'd already done, I think they'd already put me on tape as well. I think I'd already done like a bit of an audition for it anyway. Yeah. And they'd said like, they don't think anyone would play it like I would. So the agreement ended up being like, Andy would let me still play the part, but there wouldn't be much advertising of my name and face as much as what would normally.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Don't even fucking, I got me credits at the end, but it was just more like keeping me out of it because it's not about Donna anyway, but just like I'm not in it, but I still had the chance to be in it.
I think at the time, the initial thing is the distributor. Everybody's so sensitive about things at the minute. You know what I mean? They're like, oh wow, will that stop the film coming out? Will that stop? Will the cinema chains boycott the film? Yeah. So but in essence, the fact you never got charged obviously
at that time
helped. And the fact that, you, I think in life, if people know people and you tell them what happened, people then go, okay, so really, it's not as bad as what they're saying. Yeah. And obviously, you did the part, you smashed the role, and, the film come out and you were still on bail. Yeah. I mean, the fact that it took 4 years, for them to actually bring that to trial, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, what did your lawyer say? Did they not say like?
Oh yeah,
weird?
Loads of but I think because the day that I'd got arrested, it was the first day lifted of lockdown.
Got it.
Everyone was in Southend from different areas.
Right.
So these women weren't even from Essex.
Right.
They were from up north.
Oh, right, okay.
And the police essentially said to me, look, we've got people giving statements from all around the country because it was the hottest day of the year and everyone went to Southend that day.
Right.
So I think they were up and down the country, getting statements here, there and everywhere and trying to retrieve all the right camera footage and stuff, everyone's movements.
If 5 people say this is what's happened.
Yeah, and it weren't just 5 people. There were other people on Southend Strip that got their 2 pence worth in and all, you know?
But I think if they've said that, I've actually said, oh, mate, if the police hadn't have investigated it and followed it up, look, at the end of the day, you was acquitted. You got a slap on the wrist for obviously being Larry.
Yeah.
And being a nuisance.
I've learned when to shut my mouth now.
Public order.
A bit.
But to get charged with 5 counts of something and then you only get found guilty for just basically being fucking Larry.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time when that happened, was your agent supportive?
Yes. When I come out, like everything was sweet. But I can't, this is where things, like f***ed up a little bit. Because the day I come out of court, my agent had been supportive and backed me the whole way through. She was waiting to herself to see what happened at trial,
Right.
To see if all the allegations are true.
Yeah.
So when I've walked out of court that day and I went guilty to the public order and then they found me not guilty of everything else, she was like, right, Katie, this is it now, we can put it all behind you. It's going to take a while for the dust to settle, but it's all going to be fine. Then within 2-3 days, the mother of the girls who was involved in the altercation went front page of the papers saying that she wants a public apology and that I'd ruined her life and everything. Now, when I was standing in court, the judge said to me, I do not owe anyone a personal apology. I weren't found guilty of anything towards that woman. Right. I owed the public an apology that had to witness my mouthy behaviour had they had children on them that day, had they witnessed what had happened. But I did not personally owe that woman or them girls, and that's what the judge said. Yeah. But because she'd come out a few days later giving it, I want an apology, she's wrecked my life and all that, my agent was like, it's too much collateral damage. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if we're going to be able to come back from this.
Wow.
So she was, my agent backed me all the way to the bitter end until the birds just didn't like the fact I was found not guilty. Well, sorry, I didn't do it, love. I didn't even have to say much in court because it was all there on camera.
Got it. So the evidence spoke for itself.
Yeah. I'd already said everything over the years in statements, but when it come to court, I didn't even have to say much because it was just there.
And let's obviously move on from that because that's obviously a negative part of your life that you've had to deal with for 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that it's come to an end.
Thank
I'm
you.
really happy that the truth and the evidence.
No, I appreciate you asking, because it's the first time since it all happening I've not spoken to anyone. I've not been interviewed. I've not discussed it openly. So it's nice to, like, someone I'm comfortable with as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's nice to get it out a little bit.
I also think people want to hear.
They probably are a bit curious, because I stay silent. If you look at my Insta, I might post the odd picture. I don't post my life. I'm not actively on it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very reserved in that respect.
Yeah.
So some people are probably curious, as to what happens, and I get that.
Yeah.
But now, like, I'm not.
You all know now.
And you can all off. But no, I've moved now. I moved us with the kids. My kids are like, I mean, my daughter leaves school next year.
Wow.
She's grown up so much, like, and I'm working at the moment.
Yeah.
Normal job, because I've pulled
doing?
back from the filming a little bit.
What are you doing?
I'm working at a garage.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Like what Hayley was in Eastenders.
Right.
No, I love it, and I love it.
Art imitating life.
Yeah. I love it. I love the people I work with as well. Do you know what I mean? It's great. I've normally gone between loads of jobs, whatever, but I'm quite happy and settled there at the minute.
But let's talk about Rise of the Footsoldier Origins, because that's the first time we've worked together. Obviously, unfortunately, we didn't have any scenes together.
No.
But I've got to say, I remember it was in lockdown, and I don't know if you remember this, but was in that hotel, and it was actually a fucking miserable time, because we was happy we were filming, and you know, there was a gym in Southend, David Lloyd, who I'm like an ambassador for, so I thought, great, I can use the gym there. Unbelievable. I literally go into the gym, doing a bit, done my lines, everything's great, and then go, oh, by the way, we're locking down again.
Yeah.
And I was like, for fuck's sake, we've just been through this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember being in that hotel and having to, like, run up the beach and do fucking press ups.
Yeah, just keep saying, got to do something.
And then I remember, like, we had a night when we had dinner party in the Seven, and for anybody that hasn't been to Southend, the Seven is a really nice hotel, beautiful family run it, and we had, like, obviously they have an Indian family, they did a curry night, and we had this amazing night, and that was the first time that we'd properly met.
Yeah.
And I remember you coming in and they're going, oh, Rolfe's birds here, and we was all having a bit of a laugh, and I'm pretty sure that was the first day, or maybe you'd come to Southend and you was filming in a couple of days' time.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you remember when we did the Josh Myers challenge.
Yes. Oh my God, that was hilarious. I'm pretty sure I've got that in my snap somewhere on video. And he was like,
and if you haven't seen it, right, I've actually got the video on my phone, and
right.
I'm going to put it in this interview if you want to watch it.
yeah, you got to show him. That was hilarious.
But for people that haven't seen it, it was the guy, I can't remember what happened, but Josh said something silly, right? Like, oh, I don't like hot curry, right? So I was like, right, he can get something hot. So I said to the waiter, I said, what have you got that's really hot? Have you got any, like, really hot chilies? And he went, we have actually. I said, do me a favour. I said, bring a couple of chilies in, right? On a plate. And at the time, I think it started off with, there was like I don't know if it was like a tandoori fish, or there was a fish.
Yeah, there was a bit of everything.
And we said, Josh, you know, will you do a challenge, right? And he was like, yeah, I'm up for a challenge. We said, we'll eat the head and the tail, right? The head and the tail. And then he was like going, like disgusting. It was a little bit jackassy.
Yeah,
right?
it was funny.
But then we was like, you got to try these chilies, because I don't like hot stuff. Go, come on, don't just do it, Jack. Come on, Josh, you'll be all right. And then he did one, and he was like, but he passed. Yeah, and that's what I love about Josh.
Yeah,
he's a funny guy.
He is,
and he's up for anything. And he was on the podcast recently, but he's a good guy, Josh. And obviously you playing Donna. I mean, you know, a lot of people that watch Rise of the Footsoldier Origins, they love the fact it went back and it had the backstory of Tony Tucker, but also Craig Rolfe was obviously it was about him, about your relationship. I mean, you know, what was it like playing Donna in that movie?
It was great. I had a great fun.
Amazing.
Obviously, it was great. And with every, you know yourself, all the cast in Footsoldier, they were just all legends, do you know what I mean? And it's just nice, like, it's a laugh being around everyone.
Well, I don't think we had a day, and I'm sure you've worked on other films where it's been quite serious and quite dull, but I think every day we had a laugh, didn't we?
Yeah.
We had like 5 weeks of just laughing.
Yeah.
And I remember literally when it ended, and I was like, do you know what, I've had a fucking great time.
Yeah.
and I was going back home, and we were in lockdown. And I remember like driving home, and I was thinking, you know, and when you're with 100 people on a film set, and you're breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinking, and having a laugh, because you're all in a bubble, right?
Yeah.
So you can mingle. So it felt normal.
Yeah.
And then when I went home, I remember walking in the door, and everyone was just sat like this. And I walked in, and I went, "Hey, doing you all right?" You know, blah blah. They were like, "Yeah." I was like, "What are we doing tonight?" Takeaway. Netflix. I mean, I was just like, fucking hell, you know, somebody died. And it's like, no, it's just their life. You know, while you've been enjoying yourself in Southend for 5 weeks, we've been fucking sitting here watching Netflix and having takeaways.
Yeah, it is like that. You do end up in a bubble. It's great though, ain't it? It's great.
Yeah, but it was good fun. I mean, I had fond memories of that film, and obviously we had a nice premiere in Leicester Square.
Yeah.
Which meant we could dress up and get up the red carpet again.
Yeah, it was great. Absolutely great. Another red carpet.
And off the back of that, have you had a lot of people started Donnaing you rather than Haleying you?
I have had a few times, obviously, that line.
But
gold.
Yeah,
the old let me smell your you know what I mean? Grotesque. Yeah, but I've had that, yeah. But everyone's been great though, nice, you know what I mean? No, like I've never, other than that one mishap, I mean, in all the years, I've never really had negative face-to-face reactions from people. Amazing. Everyone's been lovely and supportive, normally.
Did those people recognise you from Eastenders, do you think, or not? Or do you think they just...
What people?
The people that you had the problem with in Southend?
Oh, yeah, because they're giving a statement, Eastenders girl.
Right, got it.
Eastenders girl this, Eastenders girl that.
Got it. So it's probably, yeah, I mean...
look, there's no justifying none of it, but obviously my solicitor even said to me, when it happened, just lifted lockdown, it was in the middle of everything that was quite a big movement at the time. If it had happened a couple of years previous and I weren't on EastEnders, it might not have been blown out of the waters so much. Right. But it is what it is. Yeah. It happens.
And
everything happens for a reason.
In the past.
Yeah, it all happens for a reason. And
so what's your plans for the future, Kate? What are you thinking about doing now? Are you have you got any sort of things that you want to work on or anything you want to do, or do you just literally want to get your daughter through leaving school, do your job, and then sort of see what happens?
Well, funnily enough, after Footsoldier, obviously offers and that all died down anyway, because after that with my agent and everything happened, like people obviously like don't want to touch her. Do you know what I mean? I'll get that. But this month, well, no, we're February now, aren't we? January, I actually got approached a couple of times for a couple of different things. One was some book that they want to make into a series and something else or another. And I didn't think about accepting them, but it was nice to have the offers.
Yeah, amazing.
So have you got an agent now? Nah.
Right, okay. So it's just people hitting you up?
Yeah, people that obviously hit me up through Instagram.
Yeah, amazing. And do you know what's funny? Like, what I've noticed, I think having an agent's good if you want to be put up for stuff.
Yeah.
But I think if somebody wants you,
if
you're on social media, it's very easy to connect. And what's your what you on Instagram as?
Katie Jarvis, 1991.
There you go. So if you need to get in touch with Katie, you know how to get hold of her.
I'm not looking at the minute like, obviously everything I do as a, especially when I got nicked and that, like my kids, they don't need to be walking up the street, going to school, dealing with backlash off of teenagers because they've seen their mum in a paper. Right. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, for me, it's got to that point where I've took a major step back. Still get recognised in that for being Hayley, but it's calmed down a lot. And I'm like back in my bubble with my friends, my family in the real world, if you want to put it like that. Yeah. And I've enjoyed it, you know, being back like that with the kids. And with my daughter leaving school next year, she's in the middle of doing GCSE mock. She is the top of everything. Amazing. She's doing so well in school at the minute.
You must be a proud mummy.
I really am. You wouldn't, if you meet her, you would not believe she's my daughter. She's her and my son, they're what I've got right in life, you know. Amazing. So I'm happy and content as I am for now. I think I want them to leave school, and then I'll decide what I'm going to do, if I'm going to go back, if I'm not, or.
Well, so how old are you now?
32.
So you're still young. Do you know? I've got to share a secret with you.
Go on then.
I started acting when I was 31.
Did ya?
That was when I actually did my first thing. So
that's given me hope.
No, but do you know what? And look, I got to the point, I think, 2015, 2016, where I just thought, you know what? I don't care about this anymore.
Yeah.
And then I get a phone call saying, oh, we're doing Rise of the Footsoldier, the Pat Tate story. Do you want to come back?
Yeah.
All right, and I'll do it. You know what I mean? Because
If I have to, go on.
But then I did it, and I
Yeah.
actually thought, I've got the buzz. And then after that, Once Upon a Time in London and Footsoldier Marbella came along. Then we had COVID, which was a fucking disaster. But then in COVID, I had a weird thing happen to me. I was literally sitting there after a month thinking, we've had all these great meetings, we've had all this positive stuff. Now the world's shut. Like, what the fuck's going on? You know, are we gonna go back to normal? Are we gonna be fucking locked up forever?
Yeah.
Is the world gonna end? What the fuck's going on? And everyone probably had the same thoughts, same experiences. And then I bought a book out about the club scene called King of Clubs, and I thought, actually, I'll narrate that because I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah.
And then I was narrating that, and then we had a film which Daniel O'Reilly, we were talking about, he did this play, and I can't remember what it was called, but it had a sort of supernatural, sort of spiritual thing to it.
Yeah.
And I remember reading it and him going, oh, we want to turn it into a movie. And I said, well, we've kind of started talking about working on something together. And he said, well, I'm going to do some crowdfunding. And I said, well, we've raised some money already for this. So why don't we just do a film, we'll turn it into a movie. So we did that in lockdown.
Yeah.
And then as we were putting that together, I got a call from Andy, and he said, thinking about doing the Tony Tucker story, you know, what do you think? And I was like, I think it's a great idea. I said, but it's a bit weird because I'm going to be playing someone 16 years younger, right? So I said, it's going to be a bit weird. How are you going to do it? Have I got to have some Botox or some facials? And he went, look, it don't matter. You know, we're just going to do it. And he sent me the script, and I was like, no, I really like this. And he said, why don't we just partner up on this, right? You know, you raise the money, I'll raise some money, we'll do it together. And I was like, sweet. We got Vinny on it. And again, with that film, it was like, Vinnie Jones obviously had just lost his wife.
Yep.
He was in England, and obviously he went through a really tough time. And you know, it was like, and I remember I've known Vinny, and I've met him a few times on some social things. But then when he was reached out to, he actually hadn't seen Rise of the Footsoldier. So he said to one of his pals, "What's this Rise of the Foot? Oh, fucking hell, it's great. Oh, it's yes, it's but oh, should I do it then?" Like, yeah. And then obviously he come on board, and that was obviously a bit of a game changer. And it was kind of weird pulling that together because obviously you're in lockdown. You didn't know how the film was going to come out, if the film was going to come out, how it was going to be released. So it was all literally just different. Like a shot in the dark. But you know, Rise of the Footsoldier Origins went out, obviously, I think it was on 237 cinemas or something. So it had a big cinema release when it came out.
Yeah.
The Last Heist had a small cinema release, but that, when it was released on Amazon, was like a #1 crime film on Amazon. And then we also had a documentary called 25 Years UK Garage, which we filmed a little bit before lockdown, but then we filmed quite a bit in between when it opened up and when it shut again. Yeah. So we had 3 films that sort of were born out of lockdown, and the UK Garage documentary, that was #1 on Amazon in their music documentary. So you know, we had and obviously when Footsoldier came out, it was in the top of the charts on the downloads.
Yeah, it was for a while.
I was like, wow, you know, we've had the you know, all these films sort of charting. So something good's come out of lockdown, but then obviously fucking war started.
Oh yeah.
The cost of living crisis come, and I feel like since Footsoldier Origins come out in 21, I feel like we was all sort of waiting for another lockdown, weren't we? Yeah. And then obviously it didn't happen, but then the war started, then the inflation went, and then everything
it's been one thing after another.
Then the writers' strike, then the actors' strike. So it feels like I'd say since 2020, the world feels like it's been turned upside down. Yeah. And obviously it's sort of swimming through that and trying to get something to make some sense out of it. But you know, but it's, you know, with all these things, I think you go for it, you come out the other end. And like you said, you've obviously been at film, you've obviously stepped back and you've sort of got through all your bits and pieces. Yeah. And now obviously, you know, I'm sure if the right thing come along, you'd be tempted.
Depends how much I'm paid. No, I'm only joking.
Yeah, if you message Katie, you want to give her a film role, the first thing she's going to say is, show me the money.
Yeah. No nudity, no sex scenes, and I'll do it.
But Katie, I've really enjoyed having you on today.
Oh, thanks for having me, because it's been a while since I've obviously I ain't seen you since the last premiere for the most recent one of Rise of the Footsoldier. I'll come to the premiere, yeah. Don't you remember? I saw you on the red carpet. But everyone was bang on your case on the red carpet. So I won't be surprised. Like we had a kiss and a hug quick, but everyone was bang on you.
Do you know something? I remember Origins vividly, right? Because obviously we were all in the film together and we were on the red carpet together.
Yeah.
But I think with Vengeance, because I was producing that film, but I wasn't in it.
Yep.
But obviously when you turn up, it's like everyone's like, oh, it's Terry. Blah.
Yeah,
And everyone drives. And the difficult thing is, I mean, I remember going to that premiere and there was 1,000 people there. And it is so stressful because you've got investors, you've got sponsors, you've got friends, you've got people that worked on a film. And like, you go there, you walk out the red carpet, you have all these conversations with people, you watch the film, you go at the after party, you spend talking to people all night, and you get home, and then you go, I don't even know who I spoke to.
Yeah.
And it's really weird.
Yeah.
And then
What even happened?
and then people ring you and go, I was at the premiere, but I saw you, but we didn't get a chance to speak. And I was like, well, where were you? Because I was there all night, you know.
Yeah.
But now you, I do remember seeing you. Of course I do.
Yeah, and I popped to the after party but I was there for half hour, 45 minutes, and I stayed sober and went home.
That was September 23. So
yeah,
that's
the last time I see you. So ain't that long ago. No,
we've reunited.
Yes.
In February, baby.
Hopefully it ain't too long again anyway, and I see you again.
No, you will for sure. But Katie, thank you so much for joining us today.
No worries.
I've really enjoyed catching up with you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's great to hear your actual journey, and I honestly didn't know that you was picked out of obscurity and you got that part and you got, I mean, it is like, you know, that was the plan, wasn't it? Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But you've...
It's fate, I suppose. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And I do want to say a big shout out, if that's all right, to Nick, Andy, Josh, all the Footsoldier fam. I love you all.
Forgot Roland, did be upset.
Roland, my hubby.
Do you know what? You only didn't mention him because he didn't let you smell it. That's what it is, wasn't it?
I can smell it. I'll chew it off.
You know, she domestically abused him. She hit him with a plant pot.
Oh, whatever.
There's no way to treat your
He
future
deserved
husband.
He deserved it.
But Katie, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Really good to see you.
You too.
Thanks for tuning into the Criminal Connection podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, and tell your friends about us. Katie Jarvis, the Bafta winning actress that come out of nowhere and achieve greatness. What a great guest. Make sure you follow her on Instagram and make sure you check her out in Rise of the Footsoldier Origins if you haven't seen that already. And Fish Tank's also amazing. So if you haven't seen that, there's 2 movies recommended to you by the Podfather. Make sure you tune in next week. We've got another amazing guest and we'll see you on the other side.